Okay everyone, this morning I'm going to attempt to show you how to replace a window regulator on this 99 Ram diesel 2500. And just going to get my camera set up here if I can. There we go. Trying not to block the view too much. And so what I've already done is there's three Phillips screws in this in this door handle. There are two Phillips screws in here. You just take the two Phillips screws out and you can pry this out of the way. And there's another Phillips screw up here in the top. You just take it out. Then what I've done, I have a pair of pliers that are actually made to remove door clips and all kinds of panel clips, trims, and exterior trim clips. And I've seen some other videos where they just take a big pry bar, but I'm a little more methodical, and you can probably go look online. I use a flashlight to get started, but I just pry the panel off the door a little bit, and then I use my clip pliers. You want to get the pliers right on top of the clip if you can, so you don't break the clip and you don't break the door panel. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. And I've gotten one already loose. And, okay. Now if I can get my equipment to work. This never seems to be the case when you're trying to do something. Okay, there we go. So we remove that bottom one, and there's one here, and then there's of course a bunch that run along the bottom. So we'll stick the pliers right in here. So they go right in on the clip. Pop it out. Let's move our way towards the bottom. Sure, we've got those two. And I believe there's one that I can see. It's right here. Okay. And as you get them loose, they'll be easier to get loose. These are the pliers that I used here. You can get them online, or you can get them at that tool store that a lot of folks go to get inexpensive tools. Nobody's paying me for anything. I believe they were Harbor Freight. Probably can get them anywhere though. So, trying to keep the pliers right on the clips. One here. Looks like there's one here. Try not to get in the way here of the video. There's one there. You can kind of feel them as you go. One there. might be a little more difficult. Probably getting in the way of the video. There's no way of getting around it. There we go. There's another one up here. Okay. Looks like it's starting to come loose. Now I know that there's two clips up in here as well, which are kind of difficult to get to. Let's see, maybe there's one more. One more there. Yeah. Let's see if there's one more over here. Yep, one here. Now, of course, there's two, which you can't get any tool on. You pretty much just have to pull them off, which is good to have this. There's two right up in here. Yeah. There we go. Let's pull this out of the way. Alright, so you've got two wires you're going to have to take loose. One is a clip here for the electric mirror. You just push on the clip where it holds it in, it comes right loose. And so there's that there, and then of course you've got to take those loose, and up top there, if you can see, you just press down on that and it'll come loose. Sometimes you can do it with your hand. You've got gloves on. Sometimes you might need a screwdriver. Press down on it with the screwdriver while you grab hold of the wires. Just kind of wiggle them out. One can be tricky, and you got to be careful. You don't want to break you don't want to pull too much pressure on it. And there we go. These switches will break. Okay, so here's the back side. Okay, so this is the switch area. You can get up inside here with the screwdriver, and then there's your plug for the. This door panel looks pretty intact, and there's the two clips there that didn't pull out. They're up on the top. Set this aside real quick. Now, before I got started, I went ahead and rolled the window down. You can see this door panel's never been into now. I went ahead and rolled the window down. So the bolts to take the windows loose would be here and here. And there is a fella online that takes a heat gun and methodically heats up this plastic, which is maybe a good idea. I think I'm just going to cut it open with a razor blade, and I'm going to cut it here down the bottom, cut it up the side, and then I'll just tape it back up with some packing tape. So yeah, you could get a hair dryer and do all that, you know, if you wanted to keep your truck original. But I'm just going, I mean, and it's going to be original, and I'll just use packing tape to tape it back up. And I'm just going to cut it for time's sakes. Just cut it a little bit high, just so your tape doesn't get over the top of your holes. And we'll just take some packing tape and tape it back together. It's not all that critical. Kind of like to keep that Made in USA tag on it. Just don't cut any of your wires. Just will only need to go about length of regulators. The bolts are over here, if I remember correctly. I know it's these two bolts here, and 1, 2, it's 1, 2, I think it's this one here, 3. I think it's 5 bolts, these 3 here and these 2 over here. So I'm going to have to get this put this out of the way. I have to get this paper up high enough to get these other bolts out. Of course, I could just cut a hole here. There we go. All right. Well, there's only 2 bolts that secure the window to the regulator, which those 2 bolts are there and right there. And the other bolts are here, 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 and here that hold the regulator on. I believe they're 10 millimeter. Out of the way for the sake of the video for a minute. Might want to wear gloves because these edges get kind of sharp. So I'll just take that one off, which fell down in the door. Get that in a minute. Bolt. Drop down in here. I'll be able to get at that bolt when I get the regulator out of the way. Okay, those are loose, basically. Now the window's starting to drop down, as you can see, because that's what holds it on. So, actually, I'm going to leave it in place real quick. Now, a lot of people will go ahead and just pull the glass all the way out. I believe what I'm going to do is just, I've got some suction cups that I bought, and I just push the window up high enough to where I can get the regulator out, and I don't pull the window all the way out. Actually, I'm going to need to get up here a little bit. Sometimes if you got a second hand to help you with this, it can be a little easier because glass is heavy and awkward. Most people will just go ahead and pull out the glass, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put the suction cup on. At least, hopefully, I think I am. Try my small ones. Alright, there we go. You can get those suction cups at the same place I mentioned. So there you go. That holds the I think I got it far enough out of the way. I should hold it far enough out of the way so I can get this regulator out. And regulator motor plugs in here. So you just push that clip back and then you pop this wire out. Actually, you just pull back on this clip and pull back on it. So this is the actual wiring to the regulator. Now you just have to remove the 5-volt set. Secure the regulator to the door. Number 3. And 4. And this should be the 5th and last one. Should be. Oh, wait a minute. Is there one more? No. That should be it. Should be. So. There's one more. I think there is one more. It's back behind this panel. So correction, 6 bolts. It's been a few minutes since I had done one of these, so I don't remember if there was 5 or 6 bolts. There we go. Go. It's out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. See the regulator just fell down. And you can just squeeze the scissors together, pull it out this hole here. And this is what goes wrong with these regulators, these plastic pieces from the factory that they used. They should have just used steel rollers, but they put a plastic clip on them and they fall apart. And then the doors won't, then the windows fall down, or they get choppy, or and there she is. And there's plastic pieces on the top as well, as you can see. There's plastic in here. That plastic I can see is broken on this one. Both, just the one. Actually, these pieces are in good shape. It was just that bottom piece. This piece over here that was broken. So we've got a new regulator over here. From TYC Automotive Group. Any luck, hopefully my friend ordered the right one. Come in a nice package, motor and everything ready to go in. And I'm going to grab that nut that I dropped earlier, which is right here. Open this up real quick with the razor blade. Right, pretty good looking unit. Just goes back in the same way it came out. And all you got to do basically is line the holes back up. It's kind of tricky because there's a rod. The rod is back behind there. Sometimes gets in the way. There we go. Got that lined up good. So we'll just take our bolts. Start these two. Started good. I'm not going to tighten them up yet. Push this up in place. This is the correct bolt. Oh. Not very good with my put bolts in with my left hand, so I'll switch hands here. I think this is the correct one. I can hold it in place. Sometimes bolts are kind of tricky to get in with gloves on, but These edges are really sharp where they cut these from the manufacturer, so let's see if I got it in the right way. I may or may not, who knows, it's hard to tell. Guess I should have took a better look at it before I put the first bolt in. Trying not to block the video here while I try and maneuver this into place. Trying to find the other bolts. That works good. I don't know if that's the right one or not. Let's take a better look at this. It may not be the correct one, even though it was the easiest one to line up. Alright, so we got one bolt here. Got two bolts there. And we got the two bolts on the top, which go here. And the other one was over here. So kind of goes. Actually, I think it was correct. It may just be the one. To move the motor itself. It looks like, let's see. Be tricky to get these bolts lined up. One person. Once you do, they kind of all fall in place. There we go. Probably should take my gloves off. There we go. Twisted and pushing it up at the same time is kind of hard. Get this one lined up. Probably gonna have to take my glove off. It's too difficult. Too difficult to handle the bolts. Some people use another fellow online uses an electric drill. Probably a good idea too. This one here. This one almost certainly has to be lined up, which it is. like they're about in their original positions, which is good. Tighten them up. That. Now, I believe I'm going to have to run the motor to get the track, which is up here. It's way up top here. I feel it. I need to have the track lower. So I have to plug this back in. Plug the door back in. Well, I don't have to push it all in. There we go. What I needed. I needed the rail to be back down low, so when I drop the window down I can get the screws back in. Which I'm going to do now. Get that out of the way for you. The glove back on. Take these suction cups off. Drop the window back down. Line up the holes. You can slide the rail back and forth a little bit to line it up. Push in on it a little bit, pull the rail out. That one, front side's in. This back side, just pull it out a little bit. Let it drop down. Push the rail over so it gets to the skinny. Section where the screws can hold on to it. There we go. Screws back in. Tighten them up. I also want to make sure the glass is still attached to these black. Sometimes these black hold downs comes loose. It holds it has the bracket that has the stud that goes onto the regulator rail. Sometimes these come loose, and you can take some double sticky tape and spread them apart, push the glass back in it if that does happen. So that's it there. It's all connected. Let's see what happens. Door panel back up. Clip this back in for a minute. See if it. A little more connection. There we go. Works like a charm, folks. And that is basically it in a nutshell. Now, I can show you how to put the clips and all back in. Simply a matter of popping them out, popping them back in the door panel, and then pushing them back in the correct sequence. Most of mine stayed on the panel. I've got a couple of them that I got to pull out, and I've got to take this. I'm gonna go get some packing tape, tape it back down, so you know it's kind of still doing its job there, and you know, put the door panel on. I'll restart the video when I get back to putting the door panel on, but it's pretty simple. Most people, if they've gotten this far, they can figure it out, and then that's it. That's good. You just put the door panel, clip it back in, plug these two plugs in, and you're good to go. So I hope that helps you. Let me get finished with the door panel, and then we'll show you the finished result. All right, back again. So I finished pulling all the clips out, putting them back in the door panel, and well, there we go. And then I, as you can see, I taped up where I had, you know, I used a razor blade, so the cuts were nice, and you know, the cuts were nice. I didn't just tear it off, so I was able to just easily use some packing tape and tape it back up. Somebody actually had just torn into it here, didn't use a razor blade, so I taped that hole back up, and everything looks good the way it should. Came from the factory. So now I took the few white clips that didn't come out of the door, put those back in the door panel. So now I'm going to connect the switches back up, and I'm going to put this panel back on, and that's pretty much going to be it. And yeah, so let's connect the mirror, and then we'll connect the power lock and window switch. Push it in until it snaps, and then first thing you got to do is you got to get the handle back. You got to get the door handle. It's easier if you just pull it out. There we go. You got to get that door handle back in correctly, and you got to get over here. Make sure your lock is in place. You can actually pull the lock open, and these two top clips are what you need to concentrate on getting on first. Once you get it in place, you'll be able to kind of feel. So those top clips are kind of a pain figuring out where they get in place. There they go. You can kind of feel them, and there they just push in from about right here. There. And the other ones should kind of line up. And you want to make sure they do before you start pushing them in. Because once you push the top one in, you can't get the, you may push one in and the top one may be not in the hole. And this one here is in, so this one's in, that one's in, and let's see, this top one's lined up. All three of these are lined up, so we can tap them into place. The bottom ones, see this one, it's not. Bottom ones can be tricky. So you just want to make sure they're in the holes before you start punching them all in. There we go. Looks like the other two are in. So now we can just press them in. There we go. That's it. And you can take your push the screws up a little bit. You can take your door handle, push it back into place. Put your last screw up here. I don't think this was the factory screw, but it's gonna have to work. Doesn't look like it wants to line up properly. I see. Panel's just falling down just a little bit. There we go. Snug that up. Tighten these two up. Door lock switch is free. It's not hung on anything, so that's good. Panel's nice and tight. Door handle's in. And let's try it once again. How about that? Well, another successful project, and I hope if you're attempting to replace the regulator on your Ram, it's probably very similar. I can't imagine it being very much different on a Dakota or Durango of similar year models, and you know, should be able to handle it. Most DIYers. These suction cups that I used, these black ones, small ones, you actually can use those for different projects, pulling dents out of panels and, you know, other stuff. You can get those at Harbor Freight as well, probably any online store. You don't have one near you, or you can purchase them off their website. So thanks folks for watching, and again, I hope this helps you out if you're attempting to do this project. And thanks for watching, and check out any of my other videos on my channel if you're interested in. I've got an old Fury that I did a couple of videos on that might help you out. Doing different projects, upgrading things. So thanks for watching, and good luck with your project.